Hey guys, this is Justin with Shock Therapy. Today we're going to show you how to install our new BSD tie rod kit for the X3. This kit is designed to eliminate all the bump steer that's in the factory X3 and also strengthen up your complete front end suspension system at the same time. First off, to start the installation of the BSD tie rod kit, you're going to want to find the proper jack and jack stands. Make sure you're safe when you're doing this. We don't want the car falling on you, and that way everything is done right. After that, we're going to pull the wheel and tire off. That's the first step. All right, next you're going to break loose the tie rod jam nuts before you pull it off the spindle. It's helpful if it's still on the spindle when you do this. Okay, now that you've got the tie rod loosened up, grab some pliers and pull the safety wire out of the bottom of the tie rod bolt. After you've pulled the safety wire out, then go ahead and loosen up the tie rod bolt itself and remove the bolt. Now that you've got the tie rod loose, go ahead and unthread it from the inner joint completely and remove it from the car. Now you can install the new BSD tie rod kit. You'll notice before you install it that we zip tie the spacers in place. We do this so that when you install the tie rod and thread it on, the spacers won't fall out on you. So just make sure you install it first and then cut these off. Also, very important that the spacer that is the tall unit is installed on top. We are trying to lower the rod end position in the spindle. So make sure that this is installed with the tall spacer up, never the other way around. Go right ahead and thread the tie rod on, just like you had unthreaded the factory tie rod. Once you've got the tie rod installed, go ahead and break the zip tie loose and install the outside joint with spacers inside the factory spindle. One trick is to use the factory bolt to line up this rod end. You can position the angle any way that you want to try and make it a little bit easier for you to install the system that is purposely a very, very tight fit. We make these spacers within 0.003 of an inch of the overall width, so try not to force this in. Take your time and make sure that these spacers are perfectly straight with the mount. Grab your factory hardware and reinstall. The hardware on the outside of this tie rod is a 12mm bolt, and it requires approximately 60 foot-pounds of torque. So grab your torque wrench and run down to 60 foot-pounds. Now that the bolt is torqued properly, don't forget the new safety or cotter pins that we supply in the kit. Put that back in the bottom of the bolt. All right, so now that you put both tie rods on both sides of the car, the final step is to set a rough alignment, which we'll show you right now, and then finally put the tires on the car and get a final alignment done. So the first thing you want to do is get the steering wheel straight in the car. There's an indentation in the steering wheel. We want to make sure that's straight up and down. With that straight, then I want you to visually take a look at this front hub compared to the rear tire. What we're looking for right now is that this hub is slightly towed in compared to the rear tire. That's an easy fix. All you do is grab our tie rod and rotate it until the front hub looks visually straight in line with the rear tire. That'll give you a rough alignment setting before we install the tires for a final alignment. Once you put the wheels and tires back on, make sure you torque them to 89 foot-pounds. Okay, now that you've got the kit installed and you've got the wheels and tires put back on the car and you drop the car back on the ground, it's very important that you settle the front suspension system. You cannot do that by just jumping up and down on the front bumper. You must hop in the car and drive it around the block. Hit the brakes, hit the gas, but be very careful. Remember, we want the jam nuts on the tie rod assembly to remain loose for this next step where you're going to adjust the alignment. Be careful, come back to a flat and level surface, stop the car without using the brakes very much, and then you'll jump into this last adjustment. So the first step in your final alignment is to make sure that the steering wheel is perfectly straight. And make sure that remains that way throughout the whole process. All the rest of your adjustments are only going to be worth it if this stays centered. When you are doing this new toe set and your alignment is to make sure, number one, the steering wheel is centered like we talked about. Number two, that you have both tires in the front in line with the rear tires. This will tell you which tire to adjust. So in this scenario, on our test car, the driver's side tire is nearly perfectly in line with the rear tire. But our right side, our passenger side tire, has got a lot of toe in. If you were simply to just take a tape measure to the front of this and set 1/4 inch toe in, you would have the car trying to turn left more than it would right. With this particular setup, we're going to adjust the right side only just to get it to where it's close to the rear tire alignment, just like this left side is too. Or the way that you do that is just to rotate our tie rod. Since we have left and right hand threads on each end, you can rotate it by hand to get it close. This passenger side, the tire was toed in, so we're going to want to shorten the tie rod system to bring the toe back out. You can do this by rotating the tie rod easily by hand. Bring the back of the tire in and the nose out. And hopefully that'll get us to where we're straight. Okay, to set the alignment, or at least the toe set for a final, you want to use a tape measure, and an easy way to do this is to butt the tape measure up against the inside of both tires, front and rear, compare the measurement, and try to set the front of this with a toe in of 1/4 inch. That's to say that the front measurement is 1/4 inch less than the rear. Here's how you do that. .47 1/8. 47 3/16. Spot on. Thank you, Mitch. Yep. Our test car is already at exactly 1/4 inch toed in, and that was strictly from us doing an eyeball measurement on the side. We really lucked out. Now, to do a real alignment on the car, to get this spot on perfect, you should take it to an alignment shop and have them do that. But for temporary and for a quick fix, or at least to get you going, you can use this method and run around the block and run the car, and you'll see exactly what our kit does. The last step in the process is to tighten up the jam nuts on the tie rods, so we'll do that right now. We really hope that you're excited, just like we are, of the new BSD tie rod kit that we have. It's going to fix all of your drivability issues, especially with steering wheel feedback and longevity in the front end. And we hope you enjoy it just like we have.